welcome everyone. I'm so excited for this very special episode of Imaginal Goo because it's with a special person, my mom, who literally gave me life. For those of us who are new around here and new listeners, Imaginal Goo, and mom, also just a reminder for you too, Imaginal Goo is really about exploring and celebrating the evolution that people have, especially the evolution of women throughout their life. And part of that evolution is inspired through nature. So Imaginal Goo is literally the process in science, so this is backed by science, where a caterpillar spins itself into this cocoon, and before it becomes a butterfly, it literally disintegrates into the cocoon, and it turns into kind of this wet puddle called imaginal cells. And what we don't always realize is when we think something is the ending, it's really just the beginning of something. And the imaginal cells are the beginning of actually becoming a butterfly. So the whole point of this podcast, but I think of it more of like an audio diary series, is sitting with women in my life, women that I admire, to talk about the moments where they slowly became a butterfly and what that looked like. So who better to have as a guest, especially in honor of May AAPI month and Mother's Day. I have no idea when this episode will go out. It'll most likely be late, knowing me. But I wanted to highlight you, Mom, in honor of AAPI month because, one, you are an Asian woman and it's also Mother's Day this month. And so I'd love to start, Mom, by asking you, how did you get to America? Because I am a very proud daughter of immigrants, and you and I talk a lot about your immigrant story.
Oh my God.
But how did you get here? What age were you when you came to America? Let's start there.
I was 26 years old. I graduated at the age of 24. It's always been my mom's dream too. Being the eldest of 5, and my dad also is an eldest. And suffer.
Oh no, this is going to be an emotional episode.
It's emotional.
Oh gosh.
After graduation, I know from the beginning that I took nursing to come to America. Back then, that's the only profession that's in demand in United States. So that's why my mom wants me to take nursing, although I don't want to, but
I think that's a familiar story across generations. Okay.
But my mom said, no, you have to be a nurse. You have to be a nurse. I said, no, Mom, I want to be in business. And said, no, look at our neighbor has business packing rice and this. Is that what you want? You have to go to America because you can save your siblings, your other sisters, and you can help support them for their education. It's like, it's a mandate, in other words. But
no choice.
I don't know better then. So I said, okay, I'll take nursing. It's tough, it's hard. But I survived to finish and get my diploma. Right after college, I have to do internship to different provinces. And then I had my 2 years experience as an RN, as a registered nurse. Then I applied just to be out of America. My mom always say, I don't care where you go, in Kuwait or Saudi Arabia, just out of the Philippines. Because she thinks that going out of the Philippines, you make more money than peso in the Philippines. My mom has also a good friend who is a nurse in America. So she helped me facilitate all those applications. By 26, I landed here in Los Angeles as my stopover, then on to Michigan. And at that time, April 1979, it's still winter in Michigan. It's so cold, and I have to take my board exam, state exam, by April. So I have really no time to prepare for the exam because I always sleep. It's so cold. Came from
the islands of the Philippines.
Our visa, working visa, is only good for 1 year. So if I came April of 79. By 1980, you have to leave if you don't pass. You are in exam. So I failed. In July, I failed. Then the next exam is February. So it's like 2 months before your visa expires. And I failed again.
Gosh.
So the immigration was knocking at our door to really deport us. So what we did, we have to like scatter.
Oh, gosh.
Some of my nurses, friends, also did not pass, but they have relatives in other state. And I was the only one left in Michigan. I don't have any relatives to go. So I was thinking, if I go home to Manila, the closest is California because it's only like 10 hours trip. Whereas if you come from Michigan, it's like 15 to 16 hours. So I drove from Michigan to California by myself.
Wow.
It took me 5 days.
You weren't scared?
At that time, at the age of 26, 27,
you're fearless.
like there's no fear. And this is survival.
Yeah.
So I came here, I stayed in the motel. I picked up a newspaper and there was an opening for nursing assistant. So that's where I started.
Wow.
Instead of going home, I called my mom, said, Mom, I'm on my way home there. No, don't come home. Don't come home because
there
it's
till you
hard. It's
pass.
hard here. Just try to survive. So that's what I did.
And you passed.
I
You kept
passed my
going, you
RN. I
passed.
met your dad.
Oof. We'll talk about that later. But
And that's the beginning. In
Wow.
1979, 1980, I passed.
wow.
Yeah.
You just made it. That's exciting. Well, first, as your daughter, thank you for passing and
was hard.
settling down here. But there's so many things. So Lola, which for those who are our listeners that may not be familiar with the Filipino language, Lola means grandma, which is your mom. It must have been hard to have wanted a dream like going into business and then having your own mom basically tell you, no,
Yes.
you can't afford to dream. Like literally, you cannot afford to dream. And also, this is what you need to do to not just survive, but to take care of your family.
Yes.
I think for a lot of immigrants or children of immigrants or just anyone who maybe resonates with having to take care of people, that's a lot of pressure. So, Mom, you're the eldest of 5 siblings.
Yes.
What was it like for you to have to come to terms with, okay, I have to let go of my own dreams so I can help my family?
It's tough.
How did you get through that?
Maybe exposure, because I have a tendency not to stay or on my own. I always want to go out. I expose myself with friends and then it influenced me. Like, oh, it doesn't mean that you're a nurse, you cannot have business at the same time. I have patients I talk to and owns a big business, a big company. So that really, I remember that one patient of mine who's an Egyptian. And he said, oh, I like that name, Meriam, because it's in the Bible. That's what he said. And I said, I can tell that you are such a good person, and if you need help, call me. So then I was intrigued, like how he's also an immigrant and owned these several companies. Like he's a pharmacist, but he diversified into car rentals and then buy and sell used cars, and then in real estate. And to me, it's like I want to be rich because I'm tired of being
Amen.
poor.
Yes, exactly.
I'm tired
I
of
want
being
all of our
poor.
listeners to know that you have every right
I
to
want
not want.
Rich in a way that comfortable. Growing up, it's always like what you make today is you consume today.
Yeah.
Like there's
Hand to mouth.
Hand
Yeah.
to mouth.
Yeah.
So that's really give me courage. I realized that it doesn't mean you are a nurse, you're gonna be nurse forever. Also, at the same time, I already pleases my mom. Being a nurse, I was able to petition them to come here.
Yes. So you petitioning Lola and Lolo, so grandma and grandpa,
Yes.
to come was like part of quote unquote the dream,
Yes.
right? Like,
It's their dream to come to America because they think America is heaven.
right. Ooh. That's a wake up
It's
call.
a pride.
Yeah.
It's a pride. They are 94 and they really love America. Financially, they should be okay because they own multiple lands, real estate. But no, they want to stay here.
Yeah.
And I think of that as God's blessings. Because without also my mom and my dad staying with us, it's hard to be raising kids at the same time working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
I feel confident that you are taken care of.
Yeah. We were lucky.
Yeah.
I think that's something that I think a lot about that helped shape me is, oh wow, I really grew up in a multi-generational home. Like every family, not perfect. Like every family,
Oh, yeah.
plenty of trauma.
Yes. Oh,
And
of course.
a lot of dysfunction.
Yeah.
But I remember Kuya and I, which also for our listeners, Kuya means older brother. I have an older brother. So before you got the jackpot with me, Mom, you unfortunately had my brother. He was the test child. I was the one he really wanted. Selfishly as the only daughter. I feel like Kuya and I were really lucky to grow up in hindsight, like looking back. I never want to take for granted that we were always surrounded by people, but also family. And we didn't always have everything. Like I remember, there was a time in our life where we went through bankruptcy,
Yes.
for example.
Oh, and
We lost
foreclosures.
foreclosure. Like there were a lot of really traumatizing things that happened when we were younger that I think looking back now, I'm like, oh, is that why I think the way that I think? But even through the hardship, I know that Kuya and I never doubted that we were going to be okay. Like we always knew like we're going to be okay. We always knew, oh, like we have family, or we never doubted that you all loved us. And I think that's such a gift. I'm not 26, I'm not 18, I'm older is what I'll say. Now that I'm older and I have my own life and I've built the things that I've built, I've really learned over time that what really matters, as corny as it might sound, are things like family.
Yeah.
Or are things like our health, or are things like our relationships. And it's not necessarily the physical things, right? Even though it's important to have comfort.
Even now, my friends, nurses that I work with in the hospital, they always say, oh, you are lucky that you have your mom and your dad supporting you. And now that I'm retired too, my mom reached the age of 94 and my dad, they always say you are blessed or you are lucky because you are able to see your parents age. And they said, I wish I can have my parents with me when they were still alive. Everywhere I go, I always tag along my mom and my dad. So my mom witnessed how I work both juggling as raising you and then 2 jobs in the hospital, and at the same time I sell merchandise. If not merchandise, I have networking. So and you know that you always complain like, oh, are we there yet? We grew up in the van because
We really did.
But to me, it's like a survival. Like, I did not think that I have to do this in order to retire comfortably. During that time, I just want to keep going, to give a better life financially, especially to you guys, to you and your brother. It's not like you work because you expect something in return. I just keep working. And the rest, looking back, I said, oh, wow, this is really a blessing. And I believe that God always watch you.
Growing up, I don't remember times where there wasn't work. I even remember we were still in grade school. After grade school, we'd get picked up in the van. Then from the van, we would schlep all the way to downtown to pick up mom and dad's merchandise that they would need to sell in
And
the
you do
parking
your
lot.
homework in the van.
Yeah, and then I would do my homework still in my PE clothes from school. Same with Guya, who's, playing Pokemon or drawing Dragon Ball Z in his notebook.
And then on the weekend, we go to Stockton to deliver the
go
merchandise.
deliver merchandise. And then to me, I just thought, oh, this is what people do. This is normal. And it wasn't until I got older where I realized, oh, okay, so it's not necessarily a common experience for kids to learn how to sell rice or blankets or watches or used clothes from the back of a car after school. And that was my experience. Looking back, I'm grateful because as bizarre as it was when I was young, it gave me work ethic. And it taught me the value of hard work. It taught me entrepreneurialism. It taught me the power of
I know. I
the
remember
human
when you were in
spirit.
elementary, you asked your teacher, do you want to buy jewelry?
I know. Oof. I'm sorry, Mrs. Hochineo, if you're listening to this, but looking back, I think those are the stories, the unique ways that we all grow up as people. Because every family has its own stories. Every family has its own experience. It's what we make of our experiences, I think, is what's important.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, Mom, we can talk about a lot of things. This is only a 45-minute show. So let's focus here. So can you tell me a little bit more about when was the time where you decided, okay, Mom and Dad, Lola, Lolo, you fulfilled your dutiful daughter duty as the eldest daughter of 5 children.
Yeah.
The rest of your 4 younger siblings are still in the Philippines. You grew up in a third world country, literally no electricity. You grew up with no bed. You slept on the dirt,
on the
literally
floor,
on the floor.
Yeah.
And here you are now in America. You managed to make it through your first cold winter in Michigan. You drove by yourself in a cute yellow car from Michigan to California, managed to pass your nursing exam. So you did a lot of things that really went towards the American dream. At what point did you decide, okay, now it's time for my own dream? Because you retired from nursing a while ago.
Yes. After you and your brother went to college, and I always ask my director of nursing to give me an increase. But she only increased me 25 cents an hour. So I keep figuring out. And looking back at that time, when you were young, we always make sure that you study hard. To us, like, education is very important. There was a time when me and your dad were debating, if we look at our checkbook, you cannot afford to send them to Catholic school. It has to be like public school because you don't have to pay tuition, it's free. Plus, you don't give hours. And how can you give hours when you are working 3 jobs, But then, in my mind, I said, if my mom can afford to send me to a Catholic high school that they don't have education, and here I am, I'm professional and cannot afford my kids to go to private school, it's like a slap on my face. My mom will say, what?
Yeah, your pride.
Yeah, my pride.
It's like an ego, yeah.
So we were debating, and finally we decided, said, it's not because this is how much we make that's the reason they cannot go to a private school. What if we increase our income? It's possible. So we decided it's a big leap to send them to a private school. I always tell you that I work so hard for you, for you to have a better education, to provide the best I can provide. Because when you study, you can achieve whatever you want. When you are finishing high school, you said, Mom, I want to go up north. And if you are out of this house, go to up north, then the tuition and everything. So then I said, if I remain to be an employee, there's no way I can afford it. And there's a lot of parents, nurses, that their kids wants to go higher education like in other places, but they always say, oh, daughter, we cannot afford it. This is very common in Filipino families. Like, oh, my son or my daughter wants to take this, but that's so expensive. We cannot afford. Take another course, But on my part, I said, I encourage her to study hard. And she did. Now it's my turn to deliver. Because you ask me now, Mom, I want to go up north. This is the school I want to go. What face I can tell you if I say, oh, anak, you cannot go.
Yeah.
We cannot afford it. It's a slap on my face. So I said, go for it. But deep inside me, if I tell you to go for it,
panicking.
I cannot afford.
Oh my goodness.
So it's like jumping on the water. I don't know if it's deep or shallow. So I tender my resignation.
Wow.
Judith is going to college and Vincent is still in college. 2 colleges. With this salary, no way we can afford. There's no way. So I went into real estate.
Wow. Here you are.
The rest is history.
The rest is history.
No student loans.
student loan.
Provide you with this expensive tuition.
Yeah.
And to me, it's really a blessing that God guided me to that path. I didn't regret a bit.
Yeah. You never looked back.
No looking back.
Well, I'm so grateful again. You're so courageous, Mom. I'm just thinking like, gosh, she
I know everybody.
She just walked into that office and said, I'm quitting. Circa whatever year that was.
I did not give any 30-day notice.
Yeah.
I just said, here's my resignation. And even my director of nursing said, I bet you'll come back.
Yeah.
Your kids going to college. How sure you are you can sell a house?
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe if not a house, something I have to sell.
Sell something.
As long as it's not drugs.
Yeah. That's the important part, everyone.
Yeah, but
as long as it's not that. Part of why it's so special for me to not only interview you, Mom, but also it helps me process wow, growing up as your daughter, and I think just as the perspective of a kid, we forget that while me as Judith, as I'm growing up, my parents are growing up too. You have no idea what you're doing.
Yes. Oh,
just
absolutely.
like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You've never been 40 before, just like I was never 21 before, or the age you are now, you've never been. So it's very, I think, humbling, and I think it's a good reminder for me as your daughter, but maybe also for any listener that no one knows what they're doing. And it's okay to not know. And
exactly.
Life is just...
You learn as you go.
You learn as you go. And maybe life is just a series of leaps and of courageous moments.
One thing also I need to add is don't be scared to reach out to the people that you trust. Your success is not by yourself. It's because this other mentor that gives you also the faith and sharing their knowledge. That's why I always say, now that I'm here, I really want to give back. Yeah.
Yes, impart your wisdom. Being on this podcast is one way. I know a lot of people will listen to your advice. I am so grateful for all the hard work that you've done, that Dad has done in his own way, in Lolo's way, because I really feel like I've been raised by a village. Like that quote of, it takes a village to raise someone. I know you always emphasize education growing up.
Yes.
Like that's why, Kuya and I worked hard to get scholarships and always worked growing up. And even though you and Dad would always say, don't get a job, just focus on school, Kuya got a pizza job, right?
Yes.
I would sell...
Oh my God, I can imagine.
His worked first at a shoe job, store.
I have to peep on the window. How is he doing in his job?
Is he okay? And I remember I would door knocking around the neighborhood to sell Ovaltine milkshakes over the summers, or I would do car washes. But it all led to where we are now, which I'm grateful for. So, okay, I want to change a little bit of direction. Let's talk about Lola and Lolo, God bless them, God willing. They're 94.
Yeah.
They're your parents. You and Dad in your 70s.
Yes.
Right?
72 and Dad 74.
74. Retired.
Mm-hmm.
And you both are married. Both being you and Lola.
Yeah.
Which I'm very lucky to have been raised by incredibly strong women. Lola is, in her own way, very fiery. She is a woman with her own mind. You know, Lola and Lolo are farmers, right, in the Philippines, in the rice paddies. And Lola would have her own bodega in the barrios, selling mangoes and rice and salt. And then you and Dad, you know, you are very much a woman, I think, with your own mind as well. I feel like I'm also a woman with my own mind and strong opinions.
Asa man ka mo liwat.
I know. Liwat gyud. Which for our listeners means like, who else are you going to inherit those traits from? So I say all of that because we live in a world, and I'll speak for myself, relationships are hard. Whether it's friendships, work relationships, or romantic relationships. What advice do you have for people who are trying to grow like really strong relationships, especially maybe with a partner, like a husband, a wife, a partner in life? What advice do you have? Because Lola and Lolo, again, they're in their 90s and they've been together since they were 16.
Yes.
And that was your example.
Yes.
And my example is seeing you and Dad, right? And now you're in your 70s.
Yes.
And I know it's not perfect, but what do you think are the secret ingredients to have lived this life that you've lived and you still managed to be together?
To be in the marriage.
Yeah.
Yes. The most important is the guy that you marry or you're the partner. There's always a saying, if you are both fire, then it's not gonna last. So if you are fire, the other one has to be water. We women, especially in our culture, we are like, we demand. And the men always, doesn't mean that they said yes, but they just keep quiet. They don't attack. Like if you are mad, they just quiet. They let you finish. Also, there's a love involved, the commitment. Because if there's no commitment, then of course it won't sustain because you are not that committed. In my case, I'm just grateful that your dad really is so patient because even my mom will tell me, you're so lucky that your husband doesn't even give you a black eye because the way you like you want to be the, you know.
Yeah.
But again, it's God's also blessings because it's not only your dad that I dated. I have dated a lot of men, but only your dad who is persistent, patient, and he knows me in and out. But one thing I don't want on a partner is when you get mad, they leave. Don't ever leave because you cannot come back if you leave. Just listen to me.
Those are the demands.
Yes,
contract.
that's the demand.
Don't leave.
Yes. So with the new generations now, it's different because you have this social media and all these things.
Yeah, Mom, let's not talk about the social media. There's a lot.
In our time, there's even no phone, no email, no.
Yeah.
So it's different.
I think that's important to know. And again, as a daughter of immigrants, and you're right, it was different. Like I remember hearing Lola and Lolo would have to walk a day's worth of a walk to see Lola.
Oh, yes.
Like he literally would have to walk through farms and barrios just to say hello to her.
And to find her.
And now, like you said, you know, we live in a time where, I can text you or not text you. I can see you on social media or not social media.
Yes.
Which, it just comes with the times. I think it's important that you said at the end of the day, it sounds like what's really helped for you personally is being with someone who truly is committed.
Yes.
The second thing I realized you said is you can be yourself around them.
Yeah.
Because I've also seen you and Dad argue. So let's be honest
you
here.
grew up
But
with,
I grew up
you know,
in a very,
always.
I'll just say, in a loud home.
Yes,
In a
yes.
loud
You
house.
know that, even especially your brother. I was thinking that, oh, anyway, if it doesn't work, I can always divorce him. You know, at the time.
It's a backup
But
plan.
then-
I'll just leave him. I don't want you to leave me, but I can leave
because
you.
in the Philippines, there's no divorce. And then meeting your dad here in America, I said, oh, I'm already in America. I can always leave him and move on with my life. Lola always say, no, that's not good. Always. Lola is really a big influence in my,
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
life. Both marriage and financial and,
Yeah.
work. So,
Things have changed too. Like aunties and uncles, for example, they're divorced or they
Yes.
have different families now.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
more, I think, acceptable, right? Like
yeah.
it's okay to pursue your own version of success
yes,
now.
yes.
So I'm also grateful that I feel as traditional as you and Dad have been in our upbringing. I think over time, you've also learned to adjust and change.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember when I told you and Dad, I don't want to be a lawyer. I'm not going to be a lawyer. And I think that was, that's like one example of how in families where you're so close or so traditional, you can also change. So I'm going to go into some of the last questions, Mom.
Okay.
Because I think we've been talking for 3 hours now. So I'm going to ask you a series of quick questions.
Okay.
And you just think about the first answer that comes to mind.
Okay.
So no pressure. What are you proud of yourself for?
Determination, maybe patience also.
Next question. What do you forgive yourself for?
That I wasn't able to do more.
Do more?
Do more.
She's 70s. She's in her 70s, everyone, and she wants to do more. I love
Do
it.
more. I want to work more.
You deserve to rest, Mom. You've done so much.
No, I want to have.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep playing mahjong and go to the Indian casinos. Keep doing that. But I hear you, though.
Take care more of myself. I forgive myself. I'm learning to accept
Yeah.
my limitations now, being 72.
If you could say one thing to your younger self, so think back to, Meriam, who's in the barrios in the Philippines. What would you say to her?
Enjoy life.
That's special. Okay, now I want you to think about your future self.
Okay.
God willing, so far in our genetics, there's a long lineage. Lola's 94, like you
Yes,
said, God
yes.
willing. So what would you say to your future self?
Make use of every moment that you can. Cherish your friends, families.
That's a nice one. Okay, last question. What is one thing that you know to be true?
Living comfortable financially, physically, socially, emotionally, mentally. Like all this goes down to your financial. Because you cannot afford to be healthy mind if you worry about where the next payment of your bills for your existence. Maybe because I grew up poor. Sometimes they say, oh, money is a root of all evil. But to me, it's not. It depends on how you manage it and you share it. Remember, you witnessed the bankruptcy, the foreclosures. I don't want you to experience that life.
I think that's common for every loving parent to want the best for their kids. So I'm so grateful. Oh, God. This is rough. But yeah, no, I think the last thing that I'll say about that is it's really special to be able to be where you are now, to look back and be able to say that you've made it here. So I'm just so grateful for you, Mom. But also I hope that you're proud of yourself for everything you've done.
I am. I'm very proud that even if those times I cannot spend too much time raising you because I spend more time working 3 jobs, sometimes 4 jobs. I'm still grateful and proud that what you become, you and your brother. There's no money that can equate. And I am always grateful to God that He guided me. I can feel it that we are so blessed.
Well, Mom, I love you. I'm so honored I get to be your daughter.
Cold.
And I think that's it. I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Okay,
For all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in on this episode of Imaginal Goo. It was really special. And I hope that if there's anything that you take away from this, it's that it's never too late and that it's okay to dream
Oh, absolutely.
and to tell people that you love them.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Mom. I love you.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Bye for now.